Our next speaker is Terri, and she is going to be speaking on for Alanon. So with that, I'm going to let Terri have the floor, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting us again, Terri. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome. Hi. My name is Terri, and I'm speaking on behalf of Alanon. And I always get a little nervous, I have to say, when I speak. That's just normal little nerves, but my higher power's with me, so it'll be okay. I have to say that Alanon is a program of self-help, helping people like myself to deal with active alcoholism, or even people who aren't even active, who aren't practicing, and then maybe still in recovery. I have been in Alanon for 10 years. You know, I'll lead up to it, but really what got me into Alanon was the fact that my sister did die from this disease of addiction. And she was 2.5 years older than me, where she was my only sibling. And that was my breaking point. I've heard of Alanon prior to that, but I wasn't ready then. It's just like we all know in different 12-step recovery programs, we have to be ready. And I wasn't ready then, but that hit my bottom of dealing with active alcoholism and addiction, was losing her. And so with that, I'll kind of back up a little bit and tell a little bit where I came from. I came from an alcoholic home where it was really my grandparents, or my grandmother at the time. I never got to meet my grandfather on my mother's side. He was an alcoholic. I found out much later. And then, and I had my grandmother lived with us for like 6 years. So dealing with her active alcoholism was no fun as a child. And with saying all that, I know I'm really here for Alanon, but I am in the other 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I myself am a recovering alcoholic and addict, and I've been around for 33 years and got sober at a very young age, and in recovery, thank goodness, at an early age. But I always joked about, I always use this joke that when I was born, I came out and I said, how can I serve you? What can I do for you? I am the biggest caretaker there is. And I say that because that's a lot of what, you know, Alanon talks about, like codependency. And I am first one that I'm very, very codependent, where I want to serve others. I want to please others. I want to I forgot about myself, and that's how my life has always been. So with Alanon, well, I'll back up. I met my husband, I thank goodness, in 12-step recovery as well. He's in the other program as well, and been sober, I think, 36 years. And we have 3 beautiful children, all adults now. And during the time when I went into Alanon, I learned about, of course, you know, it's the same 12 steps as Alcoholics Anonymous, but they're worked differently. And they're worked in the sense of realizing the powerlessness we have over alcohol, what the first step talks about. But, you know, we're powerless over the alcoholic, you know. And when my husband and I got together, like I said, we had 3 children who are all addicts and alcoholics, who never, ever experience living with a mother and a father of active addiction. So I'm a believer that it just runs in the family, that there is a genetic. That's my belief. And so as time went on, I finally told my children, if you pick up drugs or alcohol, you're really prone to possibly become one. And because it's all over my mother's side of the family and all over my husband's. And so Alanon really saved my life when it came more with my children as well. I'm kind of jumping around, bear with me. But I mean, I literally just had my youngest son, who's 22, just came home Thursday from Texas. I don't know what number rehabs this is for him, but he's been in and out of rehabs. My oldest daughter's been out of 9 rehabs. My middle son was a heroin addict, and the other 2 doing all sorts of things. And you name it, they did it all. And during all this time, even though I've been in recovery of Alanon, it helped me realize that even though they didn't grow up with active addiction or alcoholism, watching their parents, they definitely learned a lot of behaviors as well, and like ACOA, which I think there's a section on that later on today. It was the most difficult with this was watching my children suffer. And a couple of times thinking they were going to die because they overdosed and the Narcan had to be used and all that stuff. But during all that time, there's so much chaos and so much agony and pain that I had to keep remembering the 3 C's they talk about in Alanon. And the 3 C's are: I can't control it, I didn't cause it, and I can't cure it. And it's so important to realize that, because it's so easy for someone to maybe look at themselves and say, oh man, I'm part of the problem. Well, I mean, I'm part of the problem because I have my behaviors and how I reacted to it. But the bottom line is I didn't cause it, I can't cure it, and I surely can't control it. Well, I thought I could control it. So let's look at the fact that when I was working the steps and dealing with my children, wanting to save them, thinking I could save them. Who am I to think I could save a person from active alcoholism and addiction? I know I couldn't. And one of the biggest defects, the biggest things that I did as a mother was enable. I would give money. I would allow them to keep coming back to this house and live in terror, because there was many, many times of calling the police because of the rages and the outbursts and the out of control behavior to alcoholism and drug addiction while they were under the influence. There was so much stress to the point of me being so codependent, me trying to think of ways that I could help them. Sometimes in a good way, of course, I would support anyone being in recovery, but I kept supporting their active addiction as well by giving them money, or again, allowing them a place to lay their heads, not doing the tough love kind of act. Saying yes when I really wanted to say no. That's a big codependent behavior. And so I ended up, I think my biggest bottom was when I went through some serious physical ailments due to the stress and the turmoil that was going on with all 3 children. It was just one thing after another, because again, I don't need to go into all the details of the chaos. I mean, I think we all have our stories and situations that possibly have happened to us. But it was so traumatic that my body was taking a toll. And my body took a toll to the point where 3 years ago, I went completely bald. I lost all my hair. There was no hope and I went to every single special doctor there was you could think of to see what the heck was going on, why I was losing all my hair. And thyroid, getting checked, all the physical stuff, you know, but it all came back to stress. It all came back to my own spirituality. It all came back to where I wasn't taking care of myself. And I'll never forget, actually, there was a terrible incident with my youngest son, and the cops again being involved, coming to the house to take him away. And I remember leaning over a car in the driveway of our home. And of course, it was very emotional, crying and distraught. And I said to my husband, I'm going to die if I don't do something for myself. And I seriously meant it, because stress, as we all know, can do a number to your body. Well, it sure did for me. And so I say that you know, my hair started going back. I got hair now. I about a year and a half ago started to grow back, and it's due to continuing to take care of myself, realizing that I'm the only one that can fix myself. I'm the only one that can take care of myself, with my higher power, of course. And I worked through the steps with my sponsor. You know, that fourth step we always talk about in other programs too, but yes, that can be kind of grueling and hard, but it is so worth it. And when I write it down, it just really is a nice release of seeing where I'm at and seeing what behaviors I'm creating, how I'm reacting to the situation. I don't like conflict. I'm a passive aggressive person. And so I just kept thinking I could just please them or do something in order to help my children, because as a mother, maybe some can relate, is the most heartbreaking situation to watch your children suffer with active addiction and alcoholism. It is such a powerless feeling. So as time went on, I just realized if I didn't take care of myself, I really felt like I was not going to make it myself, just because of the pain and all that I was going through. Alanon helps me see my part, how I participated. You know, I can't shame the alcoholic. I can't guilt the alcoholic into trying to get sober. They already feel enough shame and guilt and pain. They don't, you know, I know they don't want to do what they're doing, or create or cause pain for other people. But luckily, and my children are very grateful. I'm very close to all my kids, very open, and they're so grateful and express that they're so glad that their father and I understand that this is a disease. So many people I've seen come into Alanon don't even understand this is a disease. And so I feel very blessed and fortunate that I understand this is a disease, that it's not really them. And not to shame them or guilt them, like I just mentioned, and knowing the powerlessness I have. Couldn't save my sister. You know, she took her life. She was heading to jail for a while with her 4th DUI. And I believe she didn't want to go to jail, number one, but she also just didn't want to. She was in that much pain. So today, how I think about with my sister, she finally has some freedom. That woman suffered She was 42 years old and she suffered for years. And it's hard to watch. I miss her terribly. I think about her every single day. So, and I really thought I was going to lose my kids. So many times I thought, this is it. And somebody told me you can't bury a body you can't bury someone without a body. And I kept burying my children. I kept thinking, this is it. I'm gonna lose them. And right now today they're all alive. My oldest daughter's 2 years clean. She's 28. My middle son, who's going to be 25 in a month, he is I think about 3 years clean. And my youngest, like I just mentioned, I guess, technically he's got about 33 days again, just coming back from rehab again. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And I pray for him. And the difference I see is that he's chosen to go to a sober living home this time around. My husband really put the rule down of you cannot come back and live with us. We can't live in that chaos. We can't live in that fear. I definitely have PTSD from some of the chaos that happened. But I'm working through it. I go outside and see a person, talk about it and deal with it. So that's the big thing too with Alanon, is I want to touch about boundaries and realizing it's okay to set boundaries with people. It's hard because I was always the one, this is my big thing, I kept having my youngest son come back because there's some kind of dynamic, I don't know, this is for me. I have this different dynamic with my daughter, and then I've got my two sons. There's just a different dynamic with mothers and sons. I don't know how to word it, but it's just there. And then with the father, I really believe there's a dynamic with the daughter because he did his thing of saving her, and I, was like, no, this is the limit. She's not coming back, but he wanted to protect his daughter. I understand that, looking at it all. And as for me, I wanted to protect my son. And so saying all that, I kept having him come back. And I remember the real last terrible incident. My husband literally recorded all the damage he did to the home. And he did that on purpose to show me, because I tend to forget. Oh, there he is. I'm going to grab my 22-year-old son and I'm going to hold him. He's my baby, So my husband did put the line down. He said, that's it. And so he has chosen sober living this time around. And I know it's for the best for him. He's got to learn to do this on his own. And so setting boundaries and limits has always been difficult with me. Even when they were little babies, I had a hard time setting little limits and boundaries with my little babies, so it carried on, and I'm learning now finally about limits and boundaries. And thank God it's really Alanon that helped me learn it, to realize I'm not a bad person. I'm not being mean. I'm taking care of me. And when I take care of me, my hair grows back. Hello, I'm not bald anymore. And I do things that I enjoy. And one thing that I found myself is I love to craft. I make cards, stamp, and scrapbook, and I do all this, craft and stuff, and finding what I enjoy. Instead of keep looking, what do I need to do to take care of you and you and you and you, finding what Terri enjoys. That's been difficult through the years. But now I'm very blessed and have a nice craft room, and I go down there and I escape for a while in my own zone of just taking care of me. I just know that without Alanon, I don't know where I'd be. Alanon saved my life in order to realize of how to deal with either active or even non-acting alcoholics. It's helped me in my relationship with my husband, even though he hasn't used, I've never known him using, and being sober as long as he has, but it's helped me with my codependency issues on wanting to take care of him and control in different ways. And it's interesting, you know, I remember looking back on certain things on what I would do in order to feel like I had control. And I'm one that I like everything in order. Everything neat, organized, and clean. But when I really looked at it, it was my sense of trying to have control because I felt so out of control. I was so out of control with the children, with my sister dying, with however my husband is behaving that day. And it was a good eye-opener for me, realizing that. And looking back, I was like that as a little kid because I felt out of control. I mean, I came from a divorced family and all that issues that come in to play. Was there something else I was going to touch on for a second? I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I want to talk also about, you know, there's a lot of cliches. Maybe you've heard like in AA and stuff. Well, there's a lot in Alanon too. And one of the biggest ones I practice so hard, it is live and let live, is because that's part of the control thing. Like I have to allow people to live their life and let them live and know that I hope I get the same nice respect. But when I'm taking care of me, people are going to respect me more. I can't take care of anybody else if I don't take care of me. And I have to keep remembering that. I have to keep remembering that. Another thing is about detachment. There's this thing talks about in Alanon about detachment. And there's about like, you can detach with anger, you can detach with love, you can detach with, what's that word, indignant? I don't know if I'm saying the right word, excuse me, but basically like, kind of like, I don't care, whatever you're gonna do. And I went through all those phases of detachment, especially with my children. And detaching with love is part of like loving yourself and allowing and letting go of that person. Because one thing I had to keep remembering is my children have their own higher power. They have their own God of their own understanding, and that he or she will take care of them. I had to let that go. To realize that with my son living sober living, and he's got to pay for it, and he's got to figure out how he's going to get his own food, and you know, I have to say, if he comes by the house, I will offer him a sandwich or something, though. I am definitely one that when somebody comes in my home, I offer food and drink. Because I'm very hospitable that way. I want people to feel comfortable. My point is so he has to learn to take care of himself, too. Mommy's not always going to be there to rescue him. And he's got court coming up. I'm nervous. He's got his second DUI. This last accident he got into, I thought I was going to lose him. He totaled the car. He's lucky he's alive. I mean, they said if he had flipped over, there's no way he would. That happened in June. And so he's got a lot of charges. He's got the possibility of doing jail time for a couple weekends, the lawyer said. And I have to say, when I heard that, I kind of got, my stomach was going. You know, there's knots in my stomach and my worry and concern. But I gotta let it go. Whatever is gonna happen, it's his consequence of his behavior, and being a second DUI, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I never had a legal drink. I have to say, it's so funny when I say that. But anyways, he has to deal with that. Worrying, that's another thing that I just said that word, and that's one thing that I would do a lot of, is worry, worry, worry. And where would that get me? Oh, it would make me bald. Hello. I mean, that's really, when I think about it, it did nothing for me but cause a lot of heartache and pain and discomfort. because worrying ain't gonna do anything good. But I'm here, and I tell my children, and anybody, I'm here to help you in recovery, but I'm not here to enable you anymore in your active or addiction, whether they're active or not. Limits and boundaries are so important. That was a real tough one. You know, when I heard my husband tell our son, that's it. If mommy lets you come back in this house, I won't be living here. It'll just be you two. And of course, you know, that's the thing, we have to be on the same page. You know, my husband and I, in order to deal with what we're doing. It's amazing that we are still together after all the chaos and stuff we've been through. I know a lot of, you know, I thank God, though, that my husband and I stuck it out in dealing with all this. But I just know it's due to the Alanon program, the support network I have there, and now the Zoom meetings. Used to be nice, I could see people face to face and get some hugs. I love my hugs.
You have some questions, Terri. You have Val has a question for you.
Okay.
Val, you want to unmute?
Yeah. Do you have Alanon Zoom meetings? Is there Zoom meetings?
Yes.
Okay, you could give us a list, or where can we get it from, Latanya, or?
Well, Latanya, were you the one that texted me earlier? Because I didn't have a name with it. Did you text me earlier today, just to confirm?
Yes.
That's your cell number. What I could do is I could get a list together and I will text it to you, Latanya. Does that sound good? And then you can share it?
That sounds great. But if you have like a website you can put up there where people can find the virtual meetings, you can put it in the chat right now.
Oh, okay. I need to contact my friend who has all that info. So how would you like me to do that? Would you like me to write it down?
Either way, whatever works best for you. If we will find a way to distribute the list, either through our website, our Facebook page, or you know, email. So just
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I will do that. I'll get in touch with her after we're done here, and I'll get that to you. That'd be great. Yeah, because I highly recommend it.
Are there any other questions for Terri? Do any of your family members go to Alanon, Terri?
My mom did for a while. She's still alive, but she doesn't drive anymore. So she was going, but my husband has been, but that's it, you know, at this time. Yeah.
Do you find that people in the recovery 12-step program come to Alanon too? Do you meet a lot that way, or just meet other family members?
Yeah, I would say so. There's a lot, they call it, I came in through the back door. You know, like they started out in another 12-step program like I did in AA and Narcotics Anonymous, and realized they need some extra help with other issues. Yeah.
This is Larry. Terri, it's a pleasure to meet you. I have just wanted to say I actually know your husband.
Yes.
And I've spoken to you by phone a couple of times, and via email. It's a pleasure to put the face to the name.
Oh, well, good. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Okay, Terri, this is Bunny, or Ed, either way. I'm Latanya's husband. I'm co-executive director of Tree of Hope. But I just want to ask you, and we're helping to support a family and concerned persons group at the treatment center, you know, and how do you all feel about, now it's not an Alanon meeting, but it's similar in the fact that we want, the family members and concerned persons, loved ones, to help support each other and to share and to help each other, and also however we can help them. How do you all feel about coming in and helping to support a group like that?
Oh, I would be interested too in it, if you want to give me the information and what I need to know. And yeah, I mean, it can, whatever, yeah, I'd be interested in to answer your question.
Yeah, because sometimes they, especially someone with some experience, and then we're, having trouble getting the Zoom support so far. So it would be helpful, if other members can come in, you can pass along, and then yourself, if possible, it would really be great. Yeah, it's on Monday evenings, by the way, at 7 o'clock. And so we'll send you that information too as well.
Oh, great. Would there be like a link or something I can just click on?
Yes, well, yeah. Larry, as a matter of fact, Larry, he does one of the weeks too. He does like the second Monday of the month and so forth. So
Wonderful.
it would be very helpful if you could help us with that. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, let me know. That'd be
Right.
great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very
Okay.
welcome.
Let's thank Terri for an awesome job and very informative and inspirational. Terri, if you have any other questions for Terri, just put it in the chat, and Terri, just look for it. If you have any questions, you can, reach out to her or send her a private message.